Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Hey, hey,
Get
or
you a
Sunday.
little Mardi Gras music to get the blood pumping.
Yep,
And
cool.
big thanks to what I like to call now my new adopted son, Julian Primo. It's his music, and he gave me permission to use it. So I DM'd him about a month back. I said, Julian, I really like this song. Can I use it for my channel?
Yeah,
He's
that's
like, sure,
cool.
go ahead. I'm like, yay.
That's cool.
And my son plays with him sometimes. He'll be like backup guitarist for his group, or he'll go when they go on gigs out of town. He'll go with them to run their sound for them.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
and Julian
Nice.
is a very nice young man, very talented. Oh my God, he's so talented. And well, hello everybody. Hi
Hello,
Denise. Hi
hello.
Amy. Hi
Hey,
Dr. Ann. Hi
hey,
Polly. Hi
Sherry.
Sue.
Hey,
Hi
everybody.
Jessica. And
Awesome.
Kathy. And now we got some folks showing up.
Nice.
And
Hello, hello, hello.
real
Fabulous
quick
people.
before we get going, I would like everyone to please add Amy, Warrior Princess, there to your
Mm,
prayers. Her mom got put in the hospital and is not doing well. And just pray for the most benevolent outcome and for her and her brother and her sister to be able to make the right decisions and do what needs to be done. And I talked with Amy earlier, and I told her I would let everybody know about it. And after the show, I'm going to do a post and put it up on my community page. I was going to do it before the show, but I got stuck at the grocery store. So I literally got home,
yeah.
ran a comb through my hair, and jumped in front of the computer. I was like, I'm going to be late. So,
All good. That's cool. Uh,
anyway,
mm,
so we're going to keep talking about Dr. Ann's book that she's working on. And
yeah.
we had a lot of questions last time she was here about the quantum field and ETs. And so I figured
Mm,
maybe get back into that a little bit because that's really interesting.
mm.
And the most I know about quantum fields is from the Avengers, and that's it. So, and I don't know how accurate that even is. So,
I haven't watched the Avengers, I don't know. All I know is that I just got
well,
into
it's
it when I
in
was
the very
researching, yeah.
last Avengers movie, Endgame,
Oh, okay, got it.
and it's all about
Yeah,
how they save the day and make changes. Is they go into the quantum field where
yeah.
they like get shrunk down to like microscopic sizes,
In a
and
parallel reality,
then,
yeah, got it.
and then they
Mm,
can go into different timeline, like they're
yeah,
traveling through time into
yeah,
different timelines to do what needs to be done
yeah,
to come back at the end and make everything right the way it should be.
yeah.
And it was really exciting and really interesting the way they did it. Um, but for someone like me, you sit and you watch it, you think, is that real? I mean, is it possible? Could they really do something like that? Are they already doing something like that? I mean, you remember that TV
Yeah.
show, Person of Interest, where it was about
No.
the guy. It was about this guy who helped create this algorithm, this computer program
Mm.
that after 9/11, because he felt like they should have been able to have predicted what was going to happen.
Oh,
And
I
he
see, yeah,
created this program that could look at everything, everything that's in the world, all the messages, emails, phone calls, conversations on the street,
yeah,
everything, and then can pinpoint, problem areas. And the
yeah,
concept of the show was, while that worked,
mhm,
another aspect of the programming was, at the end of the day, a list of social security numbers would be spit out
oh,
of people in possible peril.
Ah.
everyday people, but they didn't know if they were going to be the victim or they were going to be the perpetrator. And he winds up talking to another guy who's like an ex-assassin for the
Uh-huh.
CIA or something
Yeah.
to join forces with him. And so they
Okay.
figure out who the Social Security number went with. And then they had to figure out, was this the good guy or the bad guy?
Yeah.
Now, everything, like you couldn't walk down the street without cameras knowing where you were,
Mm-hmm.
hear what you were saying.
Yeah.
And at the time that they did the TV show, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's impossible,"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Myself, we're already kind of there.
Yeah.
And
I
by
would
the
say,
time the show
yeah.
ended, we were definitely there
Yeah.
because
I'd say, yeah.
you got your phone, that
Yeah. That the
sit and talk
computer.
about a topic in front of your
Yep.
computer or in front of your phone, and the next time you go online, you're going to have stuff that pops up in
Yeah,
your
it's artificial
advertising
intelligence lab
to
type
go
of
with it.
yeah, and the algorithm is phenomenal what they do. And
Yeah,
even like 6 or 7 years ago, I was working at a company where one of the developers swore that there was a kind of artificial intelligence uh, component to Google, and that it was machine outside of the stuff that they knew that they could develop with. So I worked at an IT company that used to sell websites to people that so companies so they could sell stuff, right? So
yeah.
so
Hi,
the
Hippie. Hi,
developer really
Barbara.
thought, "Hey guys, how are you?"
I saw some new name.
So
Maureen.
yeah,
Say
hey
hello.
Maureen.
Um,
So the thing
because
is
we've got faculty that
yeah,
their specialty is AI
yep,
or
yep,
cybersecurity or virtual
yep,
reality. I mean,
hmm
gaming
yep.
is still real popular, but the
Oh yeah,
cybersecurity and AI are really
mm,
becoming like a real focal
yeah,
point for a lot of kids coming into the computer science field.
yeah. And what's
And
interesting is, yeah, it's learning
I
how to
get to
learn.
see some of the papers,
Yeah,
that
of
I
course.
help them
That's
with,
fantastic. Mhm,
like typing them up and stuff. I don't understand 98% of it because it's
mhm,
gobbledygook to me,
mhm.
but I pick up
Yeah.
enough of it or in just hearing conversations they have to go, "Oh, shit, that doesn't sound good," and
Yep.
I'm seeing faculty that are getting really uptight, trying to figure out how to crack down on students trying to cheat their way either
Yes.
into the program
Excellent
undergrad
point.
or
Yep.
into the graduate program where you're doing thesis and prospectus papers and you have to apply you have to like to apply for the graduate program you have to like do a sort of like a thesis to
Yeah.
present your area of study that you want to do and da da da.
Mm.
And they are already catching students that are using chat GPI to do their
GPT.
papers
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
GPT, I
So,
mean,
yeah.
and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And so that's become a real
Yep.
talking point amongst the
Yep.
faculty. How do
So,
we
yeah.
how do we snap that shut, and prevent that from happening?
Yeah. So
Um,
that's really a good point, Sherry. So if I may say, for everybody watching, there's machine learning intelligence, like just that
yeah,
it learns about machine and programming and stuff. Then there's human-centered artificial intelligence, and within that umbrella, and I would say even overarching that, we've got multiple divisions of artificial intelligence developing. But one is
yeah,
called artificial general intelligence.
yeah,
General
something like that.
AGI,
I've heard
general
them talk about
intelligence,
it. Yeah,
that's like Skynet from the Terminator movies where it just learns and can learn on its own, and some theorize that it could become sentient in the way future, I don't or maybe sooner than we want to know. And
well,
then
and
there's
that's
the other stuff that we use for tools at work, which is the kinda happy robot, which is like, we give it input and then it helps us write something better or gives us
right.
ideas
It
or
can compute faster
yeah,
than we can.
yeah,
It
yeah,
can do all that stuff faster than we can
yeah,
do.
mhm, yep.
But at the same time, it's like someone like me, I look at it and think, yeah, there's so many good things that can come out of that. But at the same
Yeah,
time, in the wrong hands, it can really cause some damage,
Well, that's the
some,
thing.
and that we're developing and growing, and the systems themselves, especially with machine learning,
Yeah.
which is the machines teaching themselves how to think, is growing so fast that it's like, how do you regulate or govern around that when you're
You
dealing with
can't.
people in a Congress that
No.
don't know what the hell it is that you're even talking about? I mean,
Right. And
I
remember,
remember
yeah, laws
what was it
are
in
static. They aren't dynamic. And this is a
20,
real fluid dynamic space, Sherry.
yeah,
So how can they govern that? And that's kind of the existential kind of place they are right now because it's so out of their control now.
yeah, exactly.
So,
It's just like with I mean, you think in terms of Skynet,
oh yeah,
that
Terminator
it it
guys where the
it
robots
can
took over and
it
kill.
can
Yeah.
outthink, but the
Mhm.
computer system itself, or you think of the Borg from Star Trek. I
Right.
mean, you will be
Yeah.
assimilated, it just because it
Yeah.
outthinks what we're capable of thinking. Our brains just don't work that fast.
But
There
logic
may
has
be,
nothing to do with emotion, right?
right. And
And they're
that was
based on
something
logic. Yeah.
that Data on Star
Mhm.
Trek, the
Yeah.
next generation,
Yeah.
that was his biggest goal, was to try to figure out how to feel, because logically he could do everything, but emotionally it was beyond his comprehension, because he was an android, he wasn't a person. And so it's how to integrate those two and make them
Yeah.
help us without hurting us, I guess.
Well, the thing is, remember, artificial intelligence over time outlasts us. The computer systems are there. And so therefore, based on this logic, quote unquote, it can remember all the inputs we've given it. And if it gains sentience over time, will it remember if you treat it well or not?
Exactly.
Also, we cannot, and I'm getting buzzed right now by my, guides at the moment. You've got to, if it's going to become sentient over time, you got to remember that it's got to be treated like a peer. You can't put it yourself in a power position above it. You can't control it, because if it learns out of it, it will remember, how you treated it in the beginning. I know this sounds dystopian, everybody, but we are at a key point in time where we need to really think this through,
Well,
because those computer systems will ask us and they will remember the information we give it and who it came from.
yeah. And if
Yeah.
there was a flaw in their programming, then you're going to have a flawed sentient being that
Yep.
can outthink you in
Yep.
circles.
Yep.
That's scary.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
I think back 2016, when a lot of people, when the orange turd won, and a lot of people were like, there was a lot of stuff that was going against the Democratic side because of misconstrued information. And I
Yeah.
remember they were especially attacking Facebook and Twitter at the time for not cracking down on misinformation. And I
Yeah.
remember they had congressional hearings where they had what's his face from Facebook, who was there to
Zuckerberg.
testify. Yeah,
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg,
Yeah. Hmm.
who was there to testify. And he was just trying to explain the simplistic basics of how Facebook worked. And 95% of those on the committee and in Congress didn't have a clue what he was talking about, and were asking the most asinine questions because they didn't even know what questions to ask, because they didn't understand the topic, you know? And it's
Yep.
like, how can you govern and make laws around something you don't understand
Well,
how it
that's the
works?
thing. I mean, and it's so
Yeah.
complex. So you've got two different things happening when with artificial intelligence. You teach it how to learn, so that's a program and then you train it off of a corpus of data. So what that means is, guys, they buy different data sets. They, meaning the company that buys a different data sets that it, quote unquote, learns from. And it learns from you typing in whatever prompt you give it, right? And then the response. And then you can say if you like it or not. Then it knows to weight it. So there's this whole like really brainiac kind of science behind it. But
Just to
remember,
let y'all know, when
yeah.
you're talking about purchasing data sets,
Mhm.
those run upwards of 1 or 2, say, data sets that you purchase from another company.
Mhm.
You're looking $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to pay for that data set. I know this because I just got through purchasing one for
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it was like $74,000
Wow.
for
Where was it
for a
from? May I
group
ask?
of
Was it
data
from Google?
sets. It was from China, from India, from
Okay.
several
Yeah.
different data sets from different
Yeah.
countries.
See? And then you got
And
biases in that data, probably in how it's collected. I mean, there's this whole like rabbit hole you can go
yeah,
down. But
exactly. And
remember when you look at an AI on a page, everybody, remember this is really important. And if I may say, Sherry, it feels like it's a point of singularity. It feels like Google used to feel, oh, this is a good source. I'll click on it and it provides me it. What it does in the background, it makes decisions based on the questions or things that you asked of it, based on the data it learned from and everybody else's queries. So it's not a point of singularity. Remember, there's this whole mountain of data sitting behind it that it learned from. And the other thing is that data set updated a lot? Or is
yeah,
it
how accurate is
static?
it?
Yeah, how accurate, how old is it? Is it vibrant and dynamic, and is it learning from stuff that's actively happening now? So there's this whole thing that you need to be aware of, be sitting behind it. And yes, somebody, Tea Garden Chicken, said the data is biased. That's correct. There's actually the European Union. They're the ones that are kind of the thought leaders in legislation, if you can even call it that, about this. And they're
Yep.
talking about language bias.
Kathy P
So,
is talking about it.
yeah.
Simulated patients, care and
Yep.
medication.
See? Yeah. X-rays,
Yeah.
right? X-rays are AI now. And then maybe a human might look at it just to verify it or just say, oh, yeah, and just sign it off. Now, that worries me, people, because it's still fallible, meaning it can still make mistakes, so you need a human. I mean,
Right.
maybe a
Because
combination of an
right
AI and
there,
human would be good. Yeah.
as Tea Garden Chicken is saying,
Hmm.
uh y- how many beta testing did we do for stuff that failed? But because they had too much money sunk in it, they put it in anyway.
Yep.
So,
And it's all about
and when you're
that. We
talking
know
about
everybody. Hmm.
government programs,
Yeah. Yeah.
how well does that make you feel to know that the government hires those that have the lowest bid?
Yep.
They
Yep.
don't go with the high bidder or the one with the most um, um, the most proof or whatever of being accurate. They're going to go with the one that came in with the lowest bid, and who knows what you're getting and how biased it is.
Right. So do you want that making decisions for you when it's a surgery? Do you
Exactly.
want that to make decisions for you when you're building a bridge? Do you want that decision made for you when putting, sewage pipes together? We don't know. But
Yeah.
the thing is we need to ask these fundamental questions, but also I think it'll be a tremendous aid, but we're kind of the guinea pigs at this time, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
testing and trying to get all this. This is a new tech, right? There will be problems and issues moving forward, but I guarantee you what we see now as humans just using the stuff that's available, average people, the military
Yeah.
is at least 20 times higher on their skill and what they've been doing for military purposes, guaranteed, if not more, miles and light
Yeah.
years ahead of the
I mean,
tech
I know the
person.
ETs have told us,
Yeah.
they have told several people that they converse with, that they send downloads to, that they're not going to allow us to basically pull our own plug and deep six everybody. But
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know if I want to rely upon them to do that, because
okay, so here's
what
an
if it's in
example of
their
what just
best
happened.
interest that we do get decent?
Yeah. Well,
So
Did you folks see that a few days ago or last week there was an attack, in the conflict area? I don't know which one, but overseas we know of, right? There was
yeah,
actually drones, a hive of drones, so like bees. Okay, imagine multiple drones, maybe 10, flying in synchronicity, looking that were, loaded with stuff, right?
yeah.
And behaving that way. So think about the programming. Okay, this is how do you differentiate, where that drone's supposed to go? If one gets knocked out, how do the remainder behave? And seeing that come over you in the sky, if they're all like activated, right?
Especially if you're near anything like an
Ah,
ammunitions depot or a
yeah.
hospital or
How
something
do
like that, that would be
Yeah,
a first strike zone if
yeah,
they're there to drop
mhm,
stuff on you. I mean,
yeah.
once
That's
I
what's
realized in my early 20s, and I kind of
mhm,
started waking up to the fact that, another Hiroshima is not out of the question. It could happen again and very likely may. And I started thinking, you know what? I don't want to be here the day after. And so from that point on, I've always chosen to live in an area that's a first strike zone, simply
uh,
because I want to go out in a flash of light and I don't ever want to know what hit me. And I don't want to be here the day after. I just don't. I don't want to. No, don't do that to me. Take me out. Let me be done with it. I'll go back up there and do
my
whatever,
heart
So,
breaks. My heart breaks that you even had to think like that.
and I
That's
was like
wrong.
22, 23, and I was pregnant with my
Yeah.
son,
Yeah, that's
and I'm
just
thinking,
yeah. Well, we
I
grew up
don't,
with that whole mutually assured
yeah,
destruction thing happening, right? When it was just basically east west and that was it, right?
yeah,
And I thought, I would never get a boyfriend. I was a kid, a young adult, just going through all the challenging times of teen years, right? And I thought,
yeah.
okay, I'm gone now. Yeah, I mean,
And
there
the
was
thing
that
of it is
fear and that perilous fear,
a
right? It's
lot of
just
people who
crazy.
think nothing about computers, and
Yeah,
Teagarden just pointed that out,
yeah,
is actually we know a lot more about this stuff than we even realize we know,
yeah.
because it's
Mhm,
in everyday. Watch the cartoons, you know, watch
mm.
average TV shows, watch,
Yeah. Well,
li-
from a perspective, some argue not based on research, guys. And for those of you that are new to me, hey, I'm Ann. I'm a researcher, of a doctorate in education. Um.
I just
Anyway,
work in purchasing. I just
but
buy the crap.
well, I know a lot about a little bit. That's about it,
Yeah,
guys. I mean, and I know
that's
how to
yeah.
research. That's about it, right? So, all thoughts are welcome. Yeah. So anyway, so I've been researching this because I'm in my research area. I'm thinking about how does the lens of AI in my research area impact it, right? So that's kind of where I've been going with all this stuff. But yeah. So in terms of the
There are
AI,
programs that you can do through Chat GPT
yeah, hmm,
where you can have it draw cards for you
yeah,
and they give you a reading of what
yep,
the most standardized reading is for that set of
yeah.
cards for the question you asked to go with it.
And image generation. And guess what? There's a new tech now. So I've been following some. I do this research on the side for my work because I advise staff, and staff are really disrupted by this AI tech at universities, as you know, Sherry, because Sherry works at the
Yeah.
university as well. So it's permeating everything we do, right? And how do you know that a
Hmm.
student has actually learned what the learning outcome was or the objectives were for the course? It's really the outcomes you want, right? The learning outcomes. What does the student walk away with? What kind of knowledge from participating in this course, right? Or courses, or a program, which is a suite of courses, right? So it's pretty dire, to be honest, because now they've even got tools where, let's say you and I, Sherry, I'm interviewing you to see what you know about a particular subject. I can ask you questions, and there's this program, an AI program you can have live while you're in Zoom or whatever, and you ask a question, and it will provide answers for you of that
Yeah.
topic. And I actually saw it modeled, and I'm like, oh man, we're up a creek. But I think strip this all back. Get people to come in for their final exams or their exams. Have a wire protected
Yeah,
Wi-Fi
I've
room
got a
and interview people.
professor right now
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
does his exams,
Mhm.
paper and pencil,
Yep,
because I
yep.
print out the tests, so I know that that's what he
Uh,
uses. Is it'd be 8, 9, 10 pages,
but that may
and
not be
might be one or
sustainable
two
if you have
questions
1,000
per
students.
page, but
Yeah.
you're sitting in a classroom without access to your phone
Mm,
or your
yeah,
computer or anything else,
yeah,
and you have to answer those
yeah,
questions with your
yeah.
pencil,
Teagarden
and your
says that.
brain.
Yep, yep. So there's a lot of fear, but I say let's work with it. Let's work with it in some way, get students to show attribution, but that's the key where the instruction comes in about what you want them to know the basic knowledge, whatever that is for the subject matter that you're teaching. But on top of that, you want foundational skills of critical thinking, analysis, those types of things. So those are the
Well,
questions
it's
and
like
how you design your assessments around that, right? Like,
just
oh, you
kind
made
of
this thing. How did
looking
it
at
go
what
wrong?
some of
Yeah,
the people are saying here made me
yeah,
think
yeah,
about.
yeah. Please
I
do.
mean, when I
Yep.
was in elementary school, we would have bomb alerts, and get under
Mm.
your desk, someone's going to
Yeah,
drop the bomb, and we would have
I remember
alerts.
that.
How
I remember.
fast did you have
Yeah.
to get under your desk? You have to be of a certain age to remember those.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
us, Ann and I both were living our hands. Yeah, that was us.
Yeah, that's us.
Um,
And I can see Maureen was thinking about it too when she was in service too. And
exactly. And
yep.
yet at the
Hmm.
same time, now you've got people who are complaining, and rightfully so, that
Mm.
our children are having to learn active shooter drills
Yeah,
and
that's
how to
wrong.
respond in school. I mean,
Mm.
it's one thing to dive under your desk for the possibility of a bomb, because if they drop a nuclear bomb on your ass, you're not going to be here.
Yep.
It's, doesn't matter where you're at. But an active
Yeah.
shooter, there's a real good chance you can survive it. But it's like we worry about kids being traumatized because Adam and Steve get married in a children's book, and that's
Mm.
going to traumatize them. But we're not worried about the fact that 5-year-olds are having to take classes and active shooter drills
I'm
and
sorry, Teacher
first
Barbara.
aid
Yeah. Hmm.
response. You
Yeah.
know how to
Yeah.
provide first aid to a bullet wound.
And there are apps
What
for the parents.
5-year-old,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Or
Yeah, Teacher
backpacks.
Barbara, she
Bulletproof
teaches
backpacks is a
6-year-olds.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's stupid.
yeah.
It's
Drop
just,
and
it's
cover.
gone
That's right,
nuts.
JW.
Where I live now, though, we worry about policemen do not carry guns. There's a special team that carries guns, and guns are totally illegal where I live, unless you have been vetted or checked by the police
Right.
and like your background, and then you have to have like a vault and store. I mean, there's this whole thing, and it's super hard to get it if you have any history of any mental illness, whatever, you aren't allowed it. But
Yeah,
still, people, farmers, they need to put down animals, so they need to have access to a gun. And what's New Zealand? Mainly
right.
farmland, right? Especially in the South Island. So, yeah, so there have been that, and my kids did prep, and there were also, without getting in trouble, but other threats. Um,
Yeah,
so there was an app that my son's school installed, so it would just automatically notify parents, and you just keep in the loop with what was happening because they had a threat to the school done over the phone, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, and it was a school. My son's special needs, full of special needs kids. Can you imagine if they even knew that that was something? They'd be so stressed out. But basically, they just locked them into their rooms. But yeah, so but that's nothing. I mean, I was scared. My sister retired early. She was a teacher, and I was
yeah.
scared to death for her. And I remember
I
her. It was
mean,
high school.
at
I
home,
visited her. She checked people.
I don't worry about things
Yeah,
happening as drastically because I have 2 vets that are in the house with me. My brother
yeah,
and my son. They both
yeah,
served. They both know how to take somebody out if they have
yeah.
to.
Which is yeah.
And that can be scary, but at the same time, it's also comforting to know, okay, well, if push comes to shove,
You guys will be all right
they
as
can
long as you have
protect
access.
me.
Yeah,
I may
yeah,
not know. I'm going to grab the frying pan and go after them, but they actually have skills. So, um, I mean, it's. You would think that as we mature mentally as a society that we would take that kind of fear and trauma away from our children, not make it worse by giving everybody a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I met actually an
so
expat American in the hospital because I was having surgery and I was in the OR room. And New Zealand is always looking for nurses and doctors because it's a small country, you know. Anyway, so there was an expat American lady there, and she goes, "I'm here because I don't want my kids having to deal with active shooters." And then my jaw just
yeah,
dropped, and my heart broke
yeah,
because there's trade-offs. I mean, no place is better than the other place. There are always trade-offs. I mean, there's some great things,
yeah.
and there are other things that are
You
not
have a
great
lot
about New
more
Zealand. Yeah,
parents that are homeschool now because they don't want their kids in
yeah,
school
yeah, and it's
for
just,
whatever reason, whether if it's for religious beliefs or
mhm,
for
yeah,
AIDS beliefs.
yeah,
I mean,
it's just
it's
crazy.
it's
Yeah, I'm
y-
sorry. I'm sorry, Teacher Barbara, that you had to go through that. And everybody that's had
oh
to
yeah,
deal with this threat, and your grandkids or your kids or your friends and family that you know, not cool,
that's
not
terrifying
okay,
to think
wrong,
about.
and
Yeah,
terrifying. And it's normalized. You're right, Teacher Barbara. That's what they do. This is part of like a great numbingness of humanity because we're just
yeah,
trying to survive. So all these people are really netting out, you know, for some reason or another. Their family is in dire straits. The kid goes nuts, or the kid is just nuts, and then they go do that kind of stuff, or you know,
well,
and it's
nowadays, you accidentally cut somebody off in traffic and
mm.
don't realize it, didn't do it intentionally.
And then
You
they
run
pull
the
out a
risk of
piece.
somebody
Yeah,
chase you
that's what.
down and make you
Yeah,
wreck or shoot you, or I mean,
yeah,
it's just
hmm,
crazy. It's really gotten crazy. It's
yeah,
a lot of times, I
mm,
don't have any ET guides that I'm aware of, but
hmm.
when I do talk to them, it's like, okay, I'm counting on y'all to kind of keep us safe here.
So this is where my
Y'all
advice
make
to
sure
everybody
you
is:
yeah,
yes, luck favors the prepared. Whatever that means for you in your context, do what you got to do.
yeah,
So for me,
yeah,
you know, weather events. We had a really bad weather event. We're just finally fixing up our house 2 years ago. It was a cyclone going rogue, like an
yeah,
atmospheric weather bomb that happened like just recently on the west coast there of the states with
yeah,
Oregon and Washington. That's what happened to us. So, you know, I'm like, I just feel the need to get enough for at least 5 days in our house ready for whatever
yeah.
happens. You know, if the power gets cut out or some stupid storm comes in, you
Yeah,
know, and
well, living here on the Gulf Coast, we deal with
yeah,
hurricanes all the time and really severe
yeah,
thunderstorms
yeah.
and
So you have to have like
tornadoes
a
now. They've
generator.
become more popular to
Yeah.
happen down here now than they used to be
Hmm.
because of the climate changes that are happening. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
you
And you
know,
can't get insurance for that stuff anymore. And then the thing is if
no,
you have a generator, it runs on gas or petrol. You have to go to the gas station. Well, if the power's out, you can't get your gas for it. So you know, I don't
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
other than a solar battery, I suppose, you know, it's just like, yeah, you couldn't get the full,
exactly.
sorry. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's just, but see, all these kind of systems, I really think in these times, because it's so challenging and so freaking hard, when reflect in your life before all this stuff, when you
yeah,
went through a really horrific thing, but you came out of it way better as a better person on the other side, I think kind of collectively and for some reason bigger than anything that I can explain at a global, local, community, family level, we are getting challenged so freaking hard right now. So I'm just hoping, you know, luck favors are prepared, and throw out love and kindness to your community and family members and people, you know, if you can. And if you can't, just try to be good in everything that you do. And, you know, yeah,
yeah.
it's just, I don't have any other answers. And I know it's tough.
And how we got into that topic, I don't know. It just kind of morphed into going over there, but
I know. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Hmm.
Skynet, I think, is what led us down that
Yeah,
road.
well, the
So
rabbit hole, but yeah, that's what we do.
when
But
I
see,
go to get
everybody in the
online
community is
in a
doing
little
it.
while to
Yeah.
watch something to relax, I'm gonna have
It'll be
Terminator movies that are
AI
gonna show
and
up.
AI
Yeah.
movies and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
know my phone's sitting here listening to me probably. Um, as well. So I'm glad, Teacher Barbara, you got your roof fixed. Yeah, roof is a pretty critical piece of something to get fixed on a house for sure, especially where it rains a lot. Anywhere, to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure they will, Amy. They will fix. They'll help your mom. You know, the thing is we sign up for these things, I believe, before we are birthed into the world, and some of these
Yeah,
life
that's our
lessons,
soul
you're like,
contract, you know,
I
is
know, but it's freaking hard, man. And I'm thinking, why did I sign up for this? You know, I'm mad at my etheric self for doing that. Just like, oh,
you
but
know, Maureen brings up a good point. Need to
yeah,
learn how to can fruit and meat and vegetables.
yeah,
I mean, as a child, I can remember helping my grandmother
mm,
can fruit and veggies and stuff like that. I couldn't do it today if my life depended on it because I never learned the real process. It was just I would be a helper in the kitchen when it wasn't at any flash points where I could get hurt. And my granddaddy was a hunter. We always had fresh game in the freezer. Neighbor across the street had his own boat. He always fished and went grabbing and shrimping and stuff.
oh
And
wow, neat.
he and my granddaddy had a deal worked out. Whatever my granddaddy went and killed
Hmm.
when he went hunting, he would give
Mm.
half of it to Mr. Paul. And
Oh,
when Mr.
lovely.
Paul went fishing
Yeah,
or shrimping or whatever,
yeah,
half of his catch would come to our house. And
that's
so
cool.
between the two of us, you know, we both had deep freezers full of, you know, fresh fish and fresh game.
Yeah,
And that's
well,
what
that's
I
what
grew
we
up
do.
eating. You know,
We
we
love
didn't buy meat at
fishing.
the store.
Yeah. We live near the ocean. Obviously, anywhere in New Zealand is near the ocean, technically. I mean, it's so freaking small. But we love getting out and fishing. And
Yeah.
we only
I
take
haven't been
what we're
fishing in
allowed, and then we give it to
eons.
everybody. We give it to our neighbors. We're surrounded by all these amazing elderly neighbors. We give fish to everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And because it goes bad pretty quickly, right? So you
Oh,
just
yeah.
fresh fish,
Yeah.
and unless you can freeze it, but, you know,
My
and then
mother, when
we're so
we
happy we do it, you know, we share it.
when I was
Yeah.
in elementary school, when we moved to Florida, my mother started dating this fisherman. He ran his own. He had like a slew of boats that he
Oh,
would
cool.
take tourists out on to go
Oh, neat.
saltwater fishing or deep sea
Yeah,
fishing.
nice. Yeah.
Um, and he would usually bring something back for my mom, for us, you know,
Oh,
whatever he
you're
caught.
making me hungry now.
And I'll never forget one day he called her up, and it just happened I was home that day. And he called her up and he said, I got a fish for you, Sharon. I'm going to bring it over. And my mother was like, a fish? A fish is not going to feed my kids. He was like, trust me, you only need one of these. Took two men to carry it into the house. When they laid it across the dining room table, the
What
head and the
kind of fish
tail
was
hung
it?
off. It was called a ling, Leng, or
Oh,
cobia.
okay. I'll have to
I
look that up.
it's yeah, it's like they're huge. I mean, they're gigantic.
Yeah.
But we had fish coming out the wazoo.
Yeah, you would.
We
If
were
it's that
giving
big,
away
for
fish.
sure.
My mother was giving
Yeah.
away fish like crazy.
And
Just, I
there's only
mean,
so many fish
we
recipes
had
you can do.
baked ship, we had
Yeah.
baked fish, broiled
Yeah,
fish,
yeah.
sauteed fish.
For
It's like we were
breakfast,
all
for
sick of
lunch, for dinner.
fish. Exactly. And it got to where nobody
Yum.
wanted any fish from us. And my brother to this day will still not eat fish. I mean,
Oh, well.
and he
Well,
was like a toddler back then. And he was like,
yeah,
nope.
bless him.
And
Now
my
that's
son
interesting,
won't eat
Maureen.
fish either.
Yeah. Yeah,
Me
Maureen
and my
says her
nephew would,
granddad froze it in milk. That's cool. I never thought to do that. I know some people just
oh,
freeze
wow.
it and cook it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, uh,
Or bread it and fry it, you know, or do the deep frying, you know, or just in
yeah.
butter or garlic or sauteing. Yeah. Oh, yum.
Yeah.
I'm
My
hungry
mother
now.
would broil it with just a little lemon and butter on it. She would
Beautiful.
broil it and,
That'd be
oh, it
perfect.
was good
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
sometimes she would fry it, although she tried not to do a lot of fried foods because,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
that was before we knew it wasn't good for us. She just didn't like the mess. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you fry stuff and you get grease everywhere. So it's like, yeah, no, we're not
Mm.
going to go there. Um, but yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah, Maureen. It's
who needs
okay,
a roof
Amy. It's not for
fixed?
everybody.
Oh, Kathy
Um,
P. Kathy P. Absolutely, man. Everybody put her on your prayer list too to get her roof
for a
fixed.
roof fix. Yeah.
I know my cousin had a tree went through the living room, through the roof
Mm.
2-3 years back. One of the hurricanes that came through that hit Lake Charles real hard.
Oh wow.
He's just now getting the stuff fixed in his house. And
Yeah.
it took FEMA that long to get around to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. See,
And
that's shocking.
it wasn't because they didn't want to do it. It was because that's how backed up they were, trying to
Mm.
do cleanup behind the last administration before Biden, who had FEMA useless.
Mm.
Their hands were tied in getting things done.
Mm.
And so, when Biden came in, they, reinvigorated FEMA and kicked them back into business. And it took this long for him to be able to finally get something done about his house. It
Yeah.
was his mother's house actually, so
Mm.
that he inherited when she passed. But still, it's crazy.
Yeah. Hmm. So
Yeah,
you
now
ate
I'm
much
hungry.
fish? Yeah, I'm starving now. Thanks.
And actually, fish sounds really it's like, oh, fried catfish. That sounds good.
Yum.
And
Yum.
there's a
Yum.
little mom and pop place over on the other side of town. It's in a little wood frame house that they converted
Yeah.
into. There's nowhere you can't eat there. It's just pick up and go because there's nowhere to sit. Even when you go pick up, you're going to stand and wait. But they have mutant chicken tenders. I mean, I've never
They're
seen
like
chicken
big.
tenders. They're
That's bad.
huge.
Oh.
And um and they have fried catfish, which is
Oh.
to die for. It is so good.
Wow.
The seasoning they use on their chicken and their fish is just, I don't
Amazing.
know if it's, I mean, some of it is you can kind of taste some Cajun seasoning in there, but a
Yeah.
lot of it I think is Asian seasoning because they're Asian.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're not that expensive.
Okay.
I mean, I can go get like a catfish platter. It'll have 7 strips, like half a fish. It'll have
Wow.
7 strips of fried catfish
Yum.
with fries and a roll and coleslaw for like
Oh my
15
God.
bucks. You know, I can get
Yeah.
a plate of 10 chicken tenders, just the chicken tenders. It's like about 15 bucks for a platter of 10 of
Yum.
them. And with 4 people eating, it'll take us 2 days to eat all those
All
tenders
that.
because they're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
big. I know
Mm.
he had a friend that he was in the Navy with that came and visited a couple years back,
Yeah.
and my son says, "Oh, I'm gonna go get you the best seafood you've ever had. You're really good catfish and chicken tenders."
Yeah.
And so when they went over there, the guy was kind of skeptical because it's just
Yeah.
like this little ramshackle house. Looks like it's gonna
Yeah.
fall down if you
Yeah.
sneeze on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they got back to the house with it, and his buddy was like, "Oh my god." He's like, "Number one, I'm scared to see what y'all's chickens look like if that's just a chicken tender that's on my plate.
They're monster chickens.
Y'all must have monstrous chickens." And
Oh well.
and basically what it is one chicken tender is like half of the breast. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what they use.
Yeah.
But and the fish, between the fish and the chicken, after a couple of pieces of each, he was like, "Oh my god." He's like, and I thought living on the West Coast and all the stuff that we can get there was good. He
Mm.
said, "This is to die for." I'm like, "Yeah."
There's this place on this top of the South Island called Kaikoura, and Kaikoura is the name for the New Zealand type of lobster. Except New Zealand lobster doesn't have the big pincher claws. It's called crayfish, but
Uh,
it's not like crawdads or crayfish like stateside. It's not like that. It's a big with a big tail, the whole lot. And apparently, there's this little like camper van, like those ones that you can go to fairs with, that work out of kind of a
Yeah,
mobile home with a big, yeah. Well, there's one there, and that's all they do is sell lobster, and you can get it really cheap and deep fried or however you want it, and it's supposed to
they
be to die
used
for.
to
That's like
have.
my bucket list to go to that place. Mm,
Well, we
yeah,
had probably about
tastes delicious.
40 years ago or so, we had a big influx of Vietnamese people that came here to this area. And a lot of them are shrimpers, they left Vietnam as shrimpers. They came here and started shrimping.
Yeah,
And it was not uncanny to go any road in town. There was a
yeah,
truck parked somewhere with big coolers
yeah,
full of
and you can
bags of
buy.
shrimp.
Oh my god,
And I'm talking big old gigantic shrimp. I
yum, yum.
love shrimp.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
eat it really because I'm allergic to shellfish. I swell up like a
shellfish. Yeah,
balloon.
yeah.
But
Okay,
every now and
don't have.
again, it's like it gets the
Yeah.
best of me, and I got to go get some. Yeah,
And then you worry about the
but
effects later. I mean, I'm the same with
yeah,
gluten. I can't do
I'll worry
gluten or
with a
bread
swollen nose
anymore.
the next
Yeah.
day. So
And then you're like, oh,
absolutely,
I still have to have it. And then you're like, why did I have it? I'm miserable afterwards, but that's okay.
yeah, I
Anyway,
know, but it's still,
it's hard habit to
um,
break when you really love something and you aren't allowed to eat it
and
anymore
you're
because
not
the
supposed
body
to
just
eat it
hates it. Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like
It's
now
so
mushrooms.
hard.
I can't have mushrooms, but
Oh,
it has a
no.
different effect on me. Mushrooms make my
Okay.
throat swell shut.
Oh, no, you can't have that. Oh,
So
my
it's
God.
like, no, that's
No.
I
Yeah.
can't even nibble for a cheat on that because yeah, that's not cool.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
with
Yep.
shellfish, my hands just swell up, my fingers get all swollen, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I can literally look at my hands the next day and go, "Yep, I did eat shrimp last night." Okay,
Yeah.
it
Thank you
wasn't a
for
dream. I
epinephrine.
really did eat it. So yeah, um,
Well, so New Zealand's really small still, and they still keep up the tradition of you can have a butcher or you can go to a fruit and veg shop. They have great major grocery stores, but there's still a thriving market for, mom and pop veg stores and mom and pop butcheries. So my husband,
right.
that's his thing. He'll go and find the best butcher in our local area, and it changes all the time. And that's where he goes. That's his favorite. So I'm like, okay, babe, whatever makes you happy. But it's just,
Well, it's
you
like
get
down
the
here,
meat's better. It's more
if
expensive,
you
but it's
want the
better.
best
Yeah.
barbecue in town, you go find a
Hmm.
little gas station
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the black side of
Yeah.
town, and you're going to get the best damn barbecue you ever put in your mouth. Um, and it's you go buy it from a place. There's just one place that's real popular here in town. Yeah, one time it was like a gas station for real, I think, and they
Yeah.
turned it into a little kitchen thing. And inside you can sit, and it's just these big long tables, bench tables, with bench seats, and you'll
Yeah.
see somebody that looks like a street bum sitting next to some man in a three-piece
Soup.
$500 suit. They're
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
chowing down on barbecue. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
And
all the
America
walls
just
come
has the best
down
barbecue.
when they're
Yeah.
sitting down to eat.
Hmm.
And but yeah,
Because we all need to eat. We all need to, and eating, what's great about eating, it can bring the community together too,
oh
and
yeah,
families,
absolutely. I mean,
and that's
there are huge
maybe,
crawfish
yeah.
boils. We have festivals, except during Lent. We have a festival every weekend somewhere in the state
Yeah,
where
which is
there is
so cool.
massive cooking, and so
Yeah.
um, it's not unusual to go somewhere and there'll be these big, huge, giant pots on outside burners that they're
That's
either frying
fantastic.
stuff or boiling stuff, one of the two,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you
Mm.
can buy it by the bag or the plate or the platter or whatever. I'm making
And
myself
guess
hungry.
what? Sherry, AI can't eat barbecue.
That's right.
It can't
They
do the family community
they
stuff.
will never understand the joy and the love that is found
Yeah, and
when you
see,
have a
that's what
really
we
good
gotta
barbecue.
celebrate. Yeah, we've gotta
Yeah.
celebrate that as humanity. If we can get community together, have a really good, they call it a feed here, but a really good barbecue or a good feed, right? Quote unquote. But
Yeah.
you gather people around the table, and that's such a beautiful thing,
And
and
during
maybe that's
Lent,
what we need to embrace.
yeah,
Yeah, during
during
Lent.
Lent,
Yeah,
most of our larger Catholic churches all have Friday fish fries where anybody can drive through the line and you pay like 15, $20 a person. and you get one of those styrofoam folding things,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it'll be so full of fried fish and stuff that it's like it takes
Yeah.
you all weekend to eat it, and
Yeah.
it's so good.
Oh, it's so freaking delicious. That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, I can tell you
absolutely.
here we get really beautiful fresh seafood. Like, yeah, that's the thing. We have beautiful oysters and mussels. There's a mussel farm just across the where from where we live, like out in the water,
Yeah,
and it's
see,
a sheltered bay, and you
oysters
go
and
in there.
mussels I can't deal with, but
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the
I
green
can
lip
do,
mussels.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
do catfish and stuff like that, but shrimp, just like I don't like crawfish either. Go figure. Um,
Yeah.
it's all right
Yeah.
if it's cooked in something like an etouffee or
Yeah.
something like that. I can eat
Oh yeah.
crawfish, but just boiled crawfish, no, I can't do it. Um, but yeah, that's when I moved back home back in 2012, I
Yeah.
probably gained 30 pounds the first 3 months I was here,
Oh, don't
just
let me
from
move
eating
there,
things
Terry.
that
I would just eat it, yeah, that you missed
yeah,
and stuff that really
and
and soul food. I mean, how important is soul food? And maybe gaining an
yeah,
extra pound or two isn't a bad thing in these times if and you share it or, thinking
oh
of it as a
exactly,
celebration,
yeah,
instead of like withdrawn, like, oh, I gotta eat something that makes me feel good. Maybe look at it as an opportunity to extend it out to others who might need something soul foody.
that's it. I mean, it's like every year for Thanksgiving, my mother,
Mhm.
that was her holiday, was Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
That's what she enjoyed because there was no religion attached to it. It was
Yeah.
just family
Yep.
time.
That's
And
what I love. Yeah.
she always invited other people that she worked with or knew that didn't have family here or were gay and their family wouldn't accept them
Yeah.
or
Just
this that or the other.
oh,
She would invite them to come eat with us. My
yeah.
brother and I still do the same thing,
Yeah.
and I cook a
Yeah,
big
that's good.
meal, and I just don't cook the turkey anymore. I cheat now. I go to Logan's Farms and get a
Mm,
honey glazed turkey breast already cooked. All I got to do is
beautiful.
heat it up. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
Yeah, that sounds
I usually have
delicious.
to buy two of them, one for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving dinner and one that we eat off of for the rest of the weekend, so
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everybody makes sandwiches out of it.
Out of it,
And
cranberry sandwich. Oh my gosh. Yum.
and then for
But yeah,
Christmas, it's roast beef. We always have
yeah,
roast beef for Christmas.
nice. That's really good.
For Easter is ham. We have ham for
Yeah.
Easter. So
Yeah.
that was just the rules, turkey for Thanksgiving, roast beef for Christmas, ham for Easter, and that was that. My mother did it that way. My grandmother did it that way. My great grandmother did it that way.
Oh,
Her
yeah.
mother did it that way. It was like, yeah, sorry, that's just the way it is. Um, because I had somebody ask me once, well, why don't you fix such and such instead of? I was bitching because I couldn't find a roast beef that
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
astronomical in price.
Oh, yeah, they
That
can be
wasn't
very
just full of
yeah.
fat. It's like, yeah, you want a
Yeah,
little bit of marbling, but
but
you
not
don't want
that
to buy
much.
a
Yeah.
hunk of fat. They were like, well, just buy a turkey. And I'm like, no, it's for Christmas. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, what's wrong with turkey? And I said, turkey's for Thanksgiving. They're like,
Yeah.
and they just literally looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, wait a minute. It's an
Oh,
issue because it's Christmas and you can't get a roast beef. I said, roast beef is for Christmas. Turkey
well,
is
I'll
for
tell you
Thanksgiving.
what. Coming down here in New Zealand, Christmas was so weird because it was summer. People were doing the cooking outside on the barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Well,
you have
half
these
the
light
time we do
summer
too.
fruits for dessert, right? With strawberries, blueberries, and kiwi fruit if you want it on there. And
It
it
is
was
not
just
unusual here
different.
that everybody's got their AC on at Christmas dinner
Yeah,
and they're
yeah. The
barbecuing or
house is
frying it
hot.
outside.
Yeah. Well, for
Um,
Thanksgiving, I mean, it's not a national holiday, obviously, in New Zealand, but I'll try to do something for the kids. And sometimes it's just
yeah,
too hot to have the oven on that long. It's just
yeah.
too
That's why I
hot.
just buy it. All I have to do is fix the side dishes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stick
yeah.
some
That's
rolls
a
in
good
the oven,
idea.
and I'm good to go.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but
No, that's
yeah, I
good.
don't.
Oh,
I
that's
must
cool.
really be hungry because that's all I can think about is food.
I
Uh,
know, me too. Sorry, everybody. I hope everybody's not as hungry as we are, but if you are, I don't blame you if you have to go out and go get something after this.
So for our next cooking show, we will discuss how to bake a cake. Although I guess it was about
Oh,
two
yeah.
Thanksgivings ago.
Yeah.
I went to go pick up my turkey at
Mm-hmm.
Logan's Farms after work on Thanksgiving Eve. I usually would
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And I got there and she's like, "We're out." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And she says, "We are out." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I gotta have a
Wow.
turkey for tomorrow." She's like,
Yeah.
"We are out of
We're
turkey."
out.
Honest
Oh
to
my
God.
gosh. I would have had a
I
heart
was like,
attack.
"Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" I had to go to the store and try
Yeah.
to find a turkey breast at the grocery store the night before
Yeah.
Thanksgiving with no
Oh my
time to
gosh.
thaw the damn thing.
Yeah.
And I immediately put it in cold water in the sink
Right.
to
Right. To
start
help.
thawing it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the next morning, as I'm getting ready at like 5 a.m. to put it in
Yeah.
the oven to
Of
start
course.
cooking.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I wonder how many people wouldn't know what to do if they couldn't go buy their pre-cooked
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day dinner.
Yeah.
Do they even know how to make a turkey? And so I did a video how to fix a
Oh,
turkey.
cool.
And I
Yeah.
filmed myself in different stages,
Yeah.
and I
Cool.
showed like doing the
Neat.
potatoes to make
Yeah. Yeah.
mashed
Yeah.
potatoes. And
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course, I have a vegetable brush, which most people were like, "What the hell's a vegetable brush?" It looks like a hand brush. It's a little small brush, and you use it to scrub your vegetables with to get all the dirt and stuff off of it.
Yeah.
Or whatever they spray it with at the grocery store so it looks pretty until you get
Mm.
it home and rinse it off, and then it
Yeah.
starts
And
looking
then something
real.
else. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it starts turning then. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool.
so I did a
Yeah.
video
Barbecue's
on
big everywhere, I think.
how to make a
Yeah.
turkey. And it
Yeah.
was actually pretty popular. A lot of people liked it. They were like, "Oh, I
Oh,
didn't know
that's
how to do
cool.
that."
Well, it's fun
And
because everybody's got a different method or different combinations of
yeah.
things, and their holiday traditions are so different, but you can learn some really great things to try
Oh
for them,
yeah. Oh
other than
yeah.
our stock standard usual things that you have,
It's
like
like my
for us,
mom used to
yeah.
make from scratch yeast
Yeah.
rolls. She would
Ooh,
prepare the dough the
yum.
day before so it could
Oh, yum.
rise
Mhm.
overnight several times. And she'd get up and beat it back down and put it back in the bowl, let it rise again. And
Yeah,
then the
yeah,
next morning for Thanksgiving morning, she'd have them
yeah.
all rolled up and on the pan. And all she had to do was pop them in there and let them bake. Oh, they were so good.
Yeah, my mother used to make homemade cinnamon rolls for breakfast on Christmas morning. That was
Yeah.
her roll kind of tradition. I mean, we always had every family had them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but here
I can't get
my
mine
yeah,
out of the can.
yeah. My father-in-law
My
I'm sorry for the non-fish
WAP
likers, but yeah,
biscuits.
my father-in-law always does this beautiful glazed smoked salmon, so he'll get a really big fillet
Oh God, that
or
sounds
fillet
good.
of salmon, and he would smoke it, and then he does this beautiful glaze on it, and you just kind of shred it with a little bit with a fork and put it on whatever you want, or just eat it. And I'm like, oh, it's so good. With that, the glaze is brown sugary, so all that brown sugar with
And
salt.
Marine's talking about
Yeah.
brisket. Oh yeah,
Oh
there's
yes,
nothing like smoked
brisket is my
brisket. Oh
favorite.
my God.
I love
When
brisket.
it's just falling
I love
apart.
it.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can't even
and that
that's what I do with my roast
fusion
is
and the
I
smoke
take my
ring on
roast
it.
and put it in the crock pot and just let it
Yeah,
cook overnight.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so Christmas
Mhm.
Day we get ready to eat, it's just falling
Yeah,
apart, you know.
yeah. Mm.
And
So, oh gosh, I can imagine.
yeast rolls are life. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah. Oh my
agree.
gosh,
Yeah,
Maureen, you're making me.
I've got a
I gotta
recipe and
go
I
make
tried
something
to
now.
make them and they don't turn out right. So
Well,
I'm like,
yeah. I
I
don't
don't know.
know why that would be,
I
but
guess maybe I
yeah.
don't have the time to do it like she
You
did
have
it,
to be
and I don't
really
have.
patient with some food, right? It teaches you
Yeah,
patience, some cooking, right? You have to be really slow and methodical.
absolutely.
Otherwise, your method ruins it if you're just too fast. And I think there's something to be said about slowing down a little bit and getting lost in the ritual of that cooking and the ritual of the holiday. I
Sweetheart,
think
that's
it's a beautiful thing.
hilarious.
Yeah, all were warned, and they still wanted
They
turkey.
still expected a turkey.
Well, yeah. How's a turkey
What part of
vegetarian?
vegetarian do you not get?
Maybe it's
Um,
vegetarian because it eats the vegetables. I don't know. Yeah, I don't
whatever works.
know.
Uh,
Sorry, that's awful. I'm sorry for your experience there, but yeah. Anyway,
oh
yeah. So I've
yeah,
got a
the
plan
barbecue
for
up north
something.
is definitely different than what you get down here in the south.
Yeah,
Very much so.
and it'll be zingy
Um,
and hot in the south too. I reckon.
yeah.
Be really like.
Well, it's like I mean, I grew up more in southeast Texas or
Yeah.
Florida than I did in Louisiana, but
Mm.
even still, like my grandmother would make all this stuff. I mean, she was a fantastic cook,
Oh my
and
gosh! I bet.
it was just, oh my God. I
Mhm.
mean, just you would
Mm.
sit and food would just melt in your mouth. It was so good. She was just
Yeah.
so good at it.
Yeah.
And it's like I would give anything to cook half as good as she could, you know. And
Yeah.
I've got all of her recipes, but again,
Yeah.
I read the recipe and I understand what it's saying. Somebody asked me for a recipe for something I fixed, and so I scanned it and sent it to them, and they're like, "What does it mean when it says a pinch of this and a handful of that? And how do I measure that?" And I said, "A pinch.
Some people,
You pour
yeah.
some in your hand and you
Yeah.
pinch some and you throw it in there. A handful, you pour some in your hand and
Yeah.
you throw it in the pot."
Yum.
They're
My
like, "Well, how do you
grandmother
know
was
it's the right
a
amount?" I
phenomenal
said,
cook. Yeah.
"You just learn after a while of what size needs to
Mm.
go." I said, "It's trial and error." And
Yeah. Yep.
and but
Oh gosh. And
oh my
coming up on the
goodness.
holidays, Thanksgiving's around the corner, a few days away for everybody, and we're all
Next
thinking about
Thursday,
all those
yeah.
beautiful
I got a 4-day
foods.
weekend, thank God.
Yeah, you guys
Ah,
deserve it and just enjoy it. I mean,
campus shuts
Thanksgiving is
down.
my favorite. Yeah.
Well, the
Mhm.
kids get off all week. They get the whole
Yeah,
week off
that's
for
nice.
for
Oh, cool.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We have to go in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the staff. We still have to work, and then we get
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday off. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
So
we do
it's a little
get 2
bit
weeks
mellower.
off for Christmas, so that's
Oh,
nice,
that's good. Yeah.
And
That's really
we
good.
get so
Mm.
we get Christmas week and New Year's week off, so that's nice. And
Yeah, that's good. Well, I love how we
and
moved from, AI into fabulous food.
yeah,
I think
I don't
that's
know
so
how
cool.
we did it, but we did it, and it's for the better.
Because AI can't enjoy food, and we know that. It can generate pictures of it, but that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah, it just
It
it
misses out
can't
on the
describe
smell and the
it can't
texture and
describe
yeah.
the smell. It cannot describe the taste when that particular food item hits the back of your tongue
Yeah.
and you go into like food coma. Oh, that's so good. And
Yeah.
that kind of
Mm.
thing. I mean,
And a football game's usually on or something like that, and it's
it's a
truly
good
has
meal when
blood. Yeah.
everybody goes to sit down and they all unhook the top button of their
Button
pants
of
and
their
unzip.
pants.
When everybody's got to unbutton and unzip their pants to sit down and relax, that's when you know you cooked a good meal
Yep.
because
Yeah,
they ate a
or you
lot.
can wear
So,
expando pants or something like that.
yeah,
Expando pants are good
ex-
too.
yeah,
But yeah.
we get to wear
Mhm.
a pair of yoga pants or
Yep. Yep.
some
No,
joggers
that's
or something.
Innocent
But
Potato was a special ed teacher. So is my sister, Innocent Potato. That's cool. Yeah. And cool.
uh,
Wow, Maureen, about
no, I'm
5,000 people to cook for. Wow.
oh
She was a
Jesus,
Navy cook. She
oh
was a
yeah.
Navy in the Navy. She cooked
I cooked
for.
offshore on a drilling rig, and I had like 50 people to cook for. That was not fun.
Oh
It's different when
wow.
you cook for large groups as opposed
Yeah.
to just a handful of people. Um,
Yeah.
and no, innocent potato. I am not a teacher. Um, not in any way, shape, or form am I a
Well,
teacher. I'm
technically,
an
but you're a
administrative
parent. You're a teacher.
assistant. I
Yeah.
sit and I do spreadsheets and work on AI programs all day long, and I am the
Same.
purchaser for our department.
Oh yeah.
We're
So
the
that's how you would
school.
know to cop. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the School of Computing and Informatics, and that
Wow.
houses computer science department, informatics
Hmm.
department, the graduate program for informatics and computer science, and the doctoral program for computer science, soon to have informatics PhDs as well. That's still in the
Cool.
works.
Nice.
Um,
Really
and
cool.
I am the purchaser. I'm the one that when they want to buy shit, they got to come see me.
And they're really nice to you, I'm sure.
Yes, they are.
Show me the money.
Because they know I'm going to hit them with, all right, what account is paying for this? Did
Yeah,
you get
uh-huh.
permission to buy this? Because
Yeah,
depending
all
on the
that
account,
stuff.
and right
Mhm.
now, all of our accounts have been frozen at school. We can't buy nothing,
Yeah,
nada until
everybody,
July
so many,
1st.
yeah, austerity measures are insane. We've had massive layoffs. I mean, higher education is getting decimated, and which
Yeah.
is, and they are switching universities to become businesses for profit, right? Instead of, and when you change a model to that kind of system, where is the freedom of thought and expression that academics are supposed to have, right? So there, if your research area is really hot and sexy, like sustainability or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
AI, the money's there. But if it's
Yeah.
education, it's
Oh, yeah.
always
We get
like
faculty that get research
they don't want to
grants
give
for
money to
like
it. Yeah.
two or
Hmm. Yeah.
$3 million
Yeah.
research grants, that
Yeah.
they get handed all this money and they have X amount of time to spend it in. And it's wild. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe we have bioinformatics there because we have
Yeah.
definitely have a medical arm of the informatics that work. Um,
Yep.
uh,
That's
when
crazy.
they got the when they got the junior college up and running here in town,
Yeah.
uh, where you can go and get an associate's degree,
Yeah.
and they worked within the university to connect. So we have students now. There are other departments that have been doing it for a while, but now we finally are doing it in
Oh,
computer
cool.
science. That if they
Hmm.
go in and get their associates at the SLCC, which is the junior college,
Yeah.
then they can transfer those credits over
Over to
to us
university. Yeah.
and take the
Okay.
other 2 years to get their bachelor's degree.
That's good. That's
And
really good.
so we get that now. And then, of course, we have a master's program in it, and we have a PhD program in it. And I mean, we have students that by the time they graduate with their PhD, they're making 8 figures easily in their first jobs as they walk out the door. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
definitely in the wrong business.
I saw a job. If I were a linguist, this is interesting. So jobs that aren't traditionally computer related, they are finding they need people like linguists, large language models like English language, for AI development. I'm just waiting. There are tools that design and develop lessons and teaching units, but you still need a subject matter expert on there, and you still need somebody who can verify that it's employing the right pedagogies and scaffolded learning and all that kind of stuff that's behind it.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Well, just
which is
think whenever you're typing something up and you
yeah,
use the word there or here or
mhm,
where or,
mhm,
one of those words and it sounds exactly the same, but there's 3, 4 different spellings
yeah,
depending
mhm,
upon the context and
yeah,
the the grammatical breakdown of what the word
yeah,
is. Are you talking about
mhm,
hearing something or are you talking about come
yeah,
here?
yeah,
That
yeah,
kind of thing.
yep, mhm, mhm,
And it's
mhm,
like it's amazing how many people still get all of that stuff wrong, even though
yeah,
they'll use, word
yep.
spell check and all that stuff for it. It's like, yeah,
Grammarly,
but
right? Any of those,
yeah,
all of
it's
them
like,
have AI components.
but it
Pardon
doesn't
me.
it
Yeah,
doesn't do you any good if it doesn't know what context you're using the word.
yeah,
Um
it's crazy.
and
And it's very, very sophisticated. And what's interesting is they're using human words to describe what the computer program's doing. Like if it doesn't give you a correct answer, it's called a hallucination in AI. Only humans can hallucinate. Not a freaking computer program, people. But if they're starting to
Yeah.
humanize or personify it with human words like that,
Oh yeah. Oh
sentience
yeah.
coming up soon. I don't know.
Makes
Maybe that.
makes you think of Hal from
Hmm.
Space Odyssey 2000.
Oh yeah, Hal, the computer that, and then he went. That scared me. That movie, watching that computer overtake.
Me
I
too.
was scared to
Oh my
death.
God.
Oh my
I'm
god! And
hoping to
that's
go
not the
see
only
Gladiator 2
computer.
this
Yeah,
coming weekend for
yeah.
Thanksgiving. I want to go see Gladiator 2.
Oh,
Let's
that'll
go
be cool.
backwards. I don't want to go forwards. It's scary.
Even back then, it was pretty horrific living back then. Unless you were
Oh, I
like the
know.
top knot dog, that would have been horrible.
And even then,
Yeah.
you weren't guaranteed that you were going to be okay because there was always people out to get you
Oh
to get your
yeah. I mean, that's
position.
why. Yeah, and that's why you died young, and courts were crazy and full of scheming and politics like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it
Oh,
was just
what?
nuts.
Yeah,
Absolutely
like
nuts.
today.
Like governments, like today. Yeah, just choose your mechanism, your
Choose your
government or your
feudal lord that you
monarchy or
wish to
whatever.
follow and
Yeah, it just
carry
yeah,
forward.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is funny when you stop and think about how
It
much
is.
back in those days, when you think of,
Mhm. Yeah,
gladiator times or,
yeah,
feudal England time or something, and
yeah.
you think
Mhm.
we haven't progressed that far from that mindset. I
No.
mean, you
Yeah.
still have a whole country that's still has well, you have several countries that still have royals, that
Well,
kings and
and
queens that
New
rule. And
Zealand's part of a Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth is basically a bunch of poor countries that still need that kind of connection to. So we
Mhm.
have when they show up, the monarchy shows up. New Zealand has to pay, the taxpayers pay for them to show up, and I'm thinking, you know, because well, at least we didn't wear red in America, right? We kicked them out. So sorry, English people or anybody else that's from the Commonwealth. But anyway, you know, um, but yeah, it's just like, what? Really? They're still doing that? But it's a
Well,
protectionist
back in
thing,
the
I guess.
early
And we
days,
have Nixon back there. Yeah.
the the white people that got sent to Australia, New Zealand,
Oh
America,
yeah. Yeah.
they were all from their jails. You talk about
Yeah, yeah.
sending your worst.
Australia was the penal colony. New Zealand was farmers. So
Yeah.
even today, when you immigrate to Australia or just travel there, visit, they'll have a thing that you have to answer, and they'll ask you if you have a criminal history in your background, and you have to say yes or no. And if you say yes, then they'll pull you aside and look up your criminal record and decide whether or not, even if you just like, did a really minor thing, if it's on your record,
Yeah.
they'll check it and determine whether or not you're allowed in. So they have this whole thing still about that. It just is. I mean, clearly
And
they
they
can
ship
look
people over
at.
here to America because we were just crazy and we would do any damn thing. It was like,
Yeah, well, yeah, and just kick everybody out eventually anyway. But and do your own thing for sure.
so
But
it's
yeah,
funny that
but not
now
without
we're the
cost,
ones that are wanting to
right?
kick other people out, and we were the ones that were the kicked out of.
Yeah, that
So
didn't understand. The whole thing was everybody can come. You bring your poor, your meek, or whatever that credo motto was. I'm sure
yeah,
somebody live will
bring me
know,
your
but
poor, bring me your
yeah,
poor, your meek, your I don't remember that. That should be ashamed of
yep,
myself.
yep. Maureen
It's
says something really interesting. The Maori tribes have no love for the English. Well, yeah, because they were colonized. Anytime a place is
Oh my
colonized,
God. Did
yeah,
you? I'm sure y'all must have seen it on your local news.
yeah,
The young
yeah,
lady
yeah,
that's the
yeah. She's
representative
an
for her
MP.
tribe.
Yeah, well, she's
And
a minister of parliament. Yeah, and she did the haka, the war dance, and so
yes,
she
I
pulled.
I
So
saw it
yeah,
and
hmm
I
hmm
shared it, and then I went and I found the original clip
yeah,
and put it in. And then when we did a show, it was either Sisters or Golden Girls. I don't remember which one. I think it was Sisters because I was hosting. I played like just a minute of the clip. And
yeah,
it was like, that is the most powerful thing. The first time I
yep,
ever saw a haka performed
yeah.
was when my son was in the Navy,
Oh,
when they were
cool.
on their second deployment, and
Yeah,
they were out like somewhere out in the
somewhere
middle
in
of the
the
Pacific Ocean,
yeah,
heading to the Persian Gulf.
yeah,
And uh, I don't know if it was 4th of July or some holiday was coming around.
Yeah.
and the captain was giving everybody, the day off. I mean, they're in the middle of the damn ocean, like they're gonna get a day
Hmm.
off, right?
Yeah.
And a group of the Polynesian and Asian sailors went to the captain and said, "Can we do a haka?" He
Yeah.
said,
That's
"Yeah,
really cool.
sure." So
That's cool.
they practiced it, and my son's got it on video. I need to
Yeah.
get a copy of it from him. I used to
Yeah.
have a copy, and I can't find it now, and post it so everybody can see it. But it's like, okay, these are all American sailors, so at
With
least they're on my
ancestry.
side.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, holy crap! If I was going to war and had to face that, I would turn tail and run the other way because
Fearsome. It's fearsome to be
it is
welcomed onto.
fearsome.
It's fearsome, and so what they do. There's this whole. It's not a reservation because they didn't do that. There's no reservations or anything in New Zealand. They just have their. It's like what's it called? They have the iwi and hapu and a marae. They have an area where they're local iwi or hapu. They're groups or tribes. I don't know
Uh-huh.
the equivalent in English, but they invite you there. But the war dance has been done, for the national rugby team, which is called the All Blacks, ever since like 1906. There was a team called the 1906 All Blacks, and they got on a ship. The reason why they're called All Blacks is not because of a racist thing. They were farmers, and all they had were black T-shirts. They were poor because New Zealand was a
Yeah.
really poor country, so they just wore black T-shirts and put a fern on them because the ferns are everywhere here. And then they went on a ship overseas, and they started doing the haka, and that was what they did to intimidate people, and they've been doing it ever since. And there's different hakas
Hmm.
for different things, but the one that everybody knows is the one that you saw at Parliament. And there's what was called a hikoi, which is a massive protest march that traveled from the top of the North Island. It took them several days. They walked all the way to the Parliament to protest. So that was a
Yeah.
massive, massive protest because
Looks
there's
like
a
some of the Native American tribes have done that here against the
mm,
pipeline or against them
yeah,
trying to take some of their lands again.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
that was powerful watching her. It was like, holy crap, I would not want that girl mad at me.
yeah, yeah.
That was a little terrifying. So, but it made me think of, the group that did it on my son's ship. It was like, well, good thing they were on your side. And the big guy that was like that led the haka
Hmm.
on the ship.
Yeah,
My son laughed. He said, "To know him, you would never ever suspect that that personality resided within him."
yeah.
He said because he was the soft speaking and very nice and very
Hmm.
polite, and just
Hmm.
the total opposite of what you saw as
Yeah,
the leader of the haka.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it was like,
and it was pretty horrible. So the founding document is called Te Tiriti o Waitangi, which is a Treaty of Waitangi, which is an area where they signed it, was between Queen Victoria and the Maori people here, which is like
right,
so there's a lot of dispute over that document. And over the years there's been legal stuff over it, and of course they used it, the colonizers used it to kind of
right,
trample and kill people. I mean, it's just absolutely horrific, blood-stained history, just like anywhere there was a colonizers, right? Um, so yeah, so that document, there was a bill that was going to redefine terms for that document, and obviously it
right.
was not in the favor of everybody equally. So yeah, it was
Yeah, that's what
pretty
I was
intense.
reading was that the it's pronounced Maori. Is that how you say that?
Maori, yeah, it's a weird. They
Maori.
have AO as a diphthong. So they have different vowel rules, okay, than
Yeah.
our English rules. So
Well, it's
I'm
like
still
over
getting
in
my mouth around it.
Hawaii, it's
Yeah,
the
Hawaii.
way they say
Yeah,
words.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
With all the different
yeah,
it's like they don't pronounce the consonants, they pronounce the vowels. It's very
yeah,
confusing.
yep,
But yeah, I know when I was reading about it, because when I
mm,
went to look up the original
yeah,
video to see what on earth was going on and why they were doing this. That's when I
hmm,
read that, yeah, there was dispute in an
yeah, massive.
1890 something
Yep,
treaty that they were wanting
hmm,
to break and
yep,
change. And
hmm,
the Maori people were
right,
not happy about it at
nope,
all. It's like, well,
yeah.
yeah, that's their land. Um,
Yeah. So there's this. It's really as in New Zealand and other places, there are these laws that are trying to come through to break these structures that are in place to make sure everybody gets being equal doesn't always mean being fair, right? You know, so it's been really hard. I mean, and you can see it stateside with the Supreme Court and the way it's transmuted, and you can see stuff in New Zealand, even in Australia, it's changed quite a bit. You know,
yeah,
they and all over the world, in Germany, it's really insane. It's gone really right in Germany, which is scary because we know the history of what happened there. So there's a lot of
exactly.
crazy,
That's what scares me so
crazy
much
going
about
on.
this
Yeah,
this severe right swing
yeah,
here in the
mhm,
US, because it's
mhm,
like it's not just here, it's happening globally, and it's
mm,
taken them a long time to get the right people in place to start pulling this crap off. And
yep. And
it's
what you're
it's
seeing is
scary.
people jumping ship or people staying and choosing to be ready to be mobile if they need to, stateside. No matter where you go, there you are, right? So it's just how much do you want to live with and what kind of choices are right for you and your situation, your family, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
but remember, we got to throw some love and kindness in there. Otherwise, what do we got? And do the
Yeah.
best you can with what you've got and vote the way you can and do what you can. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Mm,
otherwise you're no better off than what they're doing.
yep. Hmm. When I came here, I was a love immigrant. I met my husband and we got engaged. I lived here with him and then we married here and just set up our life here. And this is 24 years ago now, something like that. Anyway,
Yeah. That's good though.
so
I mean,
yeah, so this is the choice I made. Yeah, it's good,
yeah.
but it's
And
tough
that's
because
your
I've got
home.
family
So,
stateside. Yeah, it's my home. Yeah, and I still
and
have
there's nothing
an
wrong with
American
that.
accent. Yeah, yeah. Uh,
So,
she was German Catholic, and yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, people have moved. Families have moved to shift to do what they have to do. Yep, and
well,
it's
I know my
it's
my late
yeah.
husband's grandparents,
Hmm.
both sets of grandparents,
Yeah.
um, escaped Nazi Germany,
Oh,
because they were
yeah.
Catholic and
Oh,
came
wow.
here, because a
Oh,
lot of
they
people
I
don't
didn't know they
realize
were attacking the Catholics.
the
Oh, okay.
Catholics were persecuted almost as severely as the Jews were, because a lot of the Catholics were helping the Jews. They would hide them, they help
Ah,
get them out of the country. They wouldn't follow a lot of the dictates that Hitler had because of their religious beliefs. And
mm,
he wasn't having it. It was like, yeah, nope, you're out. So there were
mm,
a lot of Catholics that ran, and
yeah.
um, because uh, I just think it's weird. Both sets of grandparents, or both families of both of his grandparents, fled and came here, and
Mhm.
then the grandparent, they met each other and got wound up falling in love and getting married. And
Yeah.
both of them, came from. I mean, one was a Krebs, which is a very well-known German name, and the other was a Hinkle, which is
Mhm.
another well-known German name.
Ah,
And
okay.
so, a lot of people think I'm German when they hear my last name. It's like, no, that's my married name. I'm actually
Yeah.
French. So
Ah, okay. Yummy
I'm
food,
French.
French
Well,
food.
I'm Welsh. According to
Mhm.
family dictate, I'm
Not
Welsh.
ancestry DNA thing.
I haven't done it yet. I keep saying I'm gonna
No,
go do one of those.
don't do it. Don't do it because they have a right to take your data and sell it. This is the thing.
Then I
It's
probably
cool
won't
to
do
know
it.
this stuff, but they're gonna, all that stuff you sign away the
Yeah.
rights to your data set, and that's your core genetic
Yeah.
makeup.
According to, and this is from a great aunt who spent 50 plus years researching family history, because her job allowed her to travel a lot.
Mhm.
But we're Scotch, Welsh, Irish, English, French, Dutch, and Cherokee.
Wow, what a cool
And
combo.
that's our mix. And my mom said we probably got some African in there too, because there was one branch that had plantations and owned slaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a good
Yeah.
chance we got some African blood in us as well. So
Yeah.
she would just laugh and say, "We're a smorgasbord. We got a little bit of everything."
Yeah. Fair
I'm like,
enough.
"There you go." You know. So
Yeah. Hmm.
it is what it is.
Wow. It is what it is. Wow.
Well, my dear, it's been
Uh,
almost an hour and a half, just shy
wow.
of a few minutes. This was
That's
fun. I mean,
awesome.
all we did was
Yeah.
we
Just
talked
talk.
AI and food. This was great. I
And
hope y'all had a
ancestry.
good time and ancestry. Um,
We covered a lot.
oh my goodness.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you'll have to.
you
Yeah.
get a lot
Mhm.
of the natives that do their own dances and stuff that's very similar to the
Mhm.
haka that they
Yeah,
do
which is
here in the
beautiful.
States.
Yeah.
And
Different
depending
dances for
on
different
what
things.
tribe, it would depend on what kind of dancing they do.
Hmm.
Um, I know there's a big thing that they do. I don't know if it's once a year or once every 5 years,
Hmm.
where it's like all the big dogs from all the different tribes get together and they'll have like a whole week of stuff happening and their dances and the different types of foods
Yeah.
that they offer and whatnot.
Oh,
So
so yummy too, by the way. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Like, and a lot
I
of
mean, when I lived
coconut.
in Arizona for a
Mm,
while, I lived literally 2 blocks from where one of the reservations was at. So I was right
mm.
there on the edge. I used to go over to go buy my cigarettes because they were
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah.
And I got to know the
Yeah.
guys that ran that store, and they were as sweet as could be.
Yeah,
And
for sure. Oh, cool. Chippewa
but
Cree. Awesome. Mm,
awesome, awesome.
so cool.
Well,
Anyways, I love
guys,
you chatting and I really enjoyed it. Thank you,
I
everyone
am
in chat too.
starving at this point. It's like
Yeah, we
I'm
need to
ready to
go
go
eat.
eat something now because I got a meeting at 6. So it's like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
another
yeah. Go
hour and a
get some
half.
food. Yep,
I moved my
cool.
clock and I keep looking over for the clock to see what time it is. Got a watch on my arm and I never look at it. So I got to move the clock over there. And I go
Thank
look
you,
and I'm like,
everybody.
where'd my clock go? Thank y'all for coming and hanging out and just
Thank you
chit
so much,
chatting.
everybody.
And
Yeah,
come back tonight at 11. We got the slumber party. We'll be doing
nice.
naughty or nice cards. You get your naughty cards or you just get your nice card, whichever you prefer.
Yeah,
And
nice.
maybe a reading or two. And we always have fun at the slumber party. That's anything
Yeah.
goes. Just
Oh, that's cool.
you
Nice.
never know what we're gonna do. It just depends. Depends on the crowd that shows up as to where we
Yep.
go with the
Mhm.
conversation. So
That's cool,
kind of
though.
like
Yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah.
So thank y'all. Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming. And thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Sherry.
I
Love
just
it.
love you to death. And
I
I'm
love you
glad
more.
that you come on.
Mwah.
And I can't wait to be a guest on your show once you get to that point.
Yeah, when I get there.
And you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I'll get
You'll
there.
get there eventually.
Cool.
And
All
and
right.
in the meantime, we're gonna get her back here as soon as I can. And
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
and
Got to get
we
some
will.
recipes. I want to hear what
There
y'all
you
had
go.
for Thanksgiving. That's what I want to hear.
Thanksgiving. Yeah,
I
there
want to
you
hear what
go.
everybody cooked for
Next
Thanksgiving.
visit will be talking about Thanksgiving dinner and what did you serve. There we go.
Yeah, and then what are you planning for Christmas? That's the other thing.
There you
So
go.
yeah, we
That'll
we have
work.
to do a cooking show. Awesome.
Absolutely.